Okay, on
All
air.
right. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I hope you are all safe and well in the comforts of your home. All right. We'll just wait for other participants to come in. All right. Okay. I hope you are all okay. And for sure, we will learn a lot and we can relate of what will be the for the topic today. Okay. All right.
Okay, so far now we have 556 participants and coming.
Yes. Wow. We have 556 participants already. Okay.
584 na.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Keep on coming, everybody. Oh, if you have friends who needs to learn and hear this kind of webinar, you can also invite them to listen and watch. All right. You are now 600 in the room. Okay. I hope you are all safe dahil ngayon maulan. All right. Keep on coming, everybody. Mhm.
Good afternoon everybody. No?
All right.
Actually, makikita mo sa chat box, marami nag-good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon
Good
everyone.
afternoon, everyone. Okay. Okay, can you chat? Where are you from? All right. There are some from Pampanga. Wow. Ilocos Sur. Then Dipolog City. Wow. This is how technology works. So everywhere in the world we are right now, ma-reach natin sila. So can you chat? Where are you from? Wow, from Tondo. Almost from All right, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Wow, from KSA. We have overseas listeners also. Also, all right, from Cavite, CDO, Bulacan. I hope everyone's safe it there. Wow, there are some watching from Saudi Arabia and from Cebu. Okay, from Batangas, Davao, Nueva Ecija, Rodriguez Rizal. Okay. I hope you can hear me well. Can you type yes if you can hear me and you can see me? Can you type yes? Okay. Can you type yes if you can hear me? Everybody? Okay. Thank you so much for coming here in our webinar. Yes, thank you so much for your response. Thank you. I am clear. All right. Thank you. Thank you for keep on coming. Yes. So it means that you can hear me well. Okay. I hope we can learn and enjoy this webinar as well. Okay. Thank you so much. Yes, hearing me well. Wow. Grabe. There are a lot of participants. Oh, New Era University Lipa. Wow. Misamis Occidental. And where else? Thank you. Wow. Makati. Binyan. Ay. Okay, thank you so much, everybody, for your responses. I really appreciate it. Oh, from Tarlac, Bicol region. Okay, now, I know there are a lot of participants because today is holiday here in the Philippines. Okay. Hi, everybody. Okay, we are now 745. Keep on coming, everyone. Wow, Iligan. Mm-hmm. Hi, United Arab Emirates. Okay, I hope wherever you are safe and healthy as well. That's the most important thing. We are healthy. Okay. So, oh, Cebu. Nice. Okay. So, can you just give me one liner? Why what are you expecting to learn from this webinar? Can you just give me one liner so I can read some? What are you expecting to learn from this webinar? Okay. I hope you also have your pen and paper with you so that if you if you found something valuable in this webinar, you can list it down. Wow. Okay, keep on coming, everybody. Oh. Quezon City, Bulacan. Eh. Okay, can you chat there? What's your age?
So, Miss Faith, now we also have 526 in our YouTube channel right now.
All
We're
right.
watching this.
Okay. I just want to also greet those who are watching in our YouTube channel. Welcome, welcome to this webinar. Okay. I hope you are all safe. Wow. Okay. Can you chat there? What are you expecting to learn from this webinar? Do you have any something? Okay, mental health effects. Okay, what else? How to manage stress and anxiety. Yes, we will also cover it, and also some tips. Yes, on how to improve mental health and also coping strategies. Okay, don't worry, I'm also human. I'm not even exempted to feel those things. That's why I'm really interested also to hear from our expert guest speaker later. Okay, how to cope up with stress. Okay. Yes. What else? What are you expecting? Okay, how to be mentally healthy. Okay, now with the age, let's see the how young are our audiences are. Okay, there are 27. Wow, 19. The youngest that I saw. 38, 21. Oh, wow. How about mostly we have millennial audiences. Oh, 45. All right. Okay, so far our youngest here is 19 and the head is 45. Oh, okay. I hope young minds, okay, you can really learn from it. Okay, we will tackle all that managing stress. 48. Okay, is that the age 299? Somebody wrote 299. Okay, 24. Oh, 61. Whoever you are, mommy or daddy, age 61, hi there. Oh, okay. What else? Okay, how to adjust new normal. Okay, guys, I know there are overwhelming comments here of what you want to learn here, but I hope you can tune in and you can also chat your questions later. Okay. Thank you everyone for participating. I really appreciate. Now we are 828 in the room and there are also a lot from YouTube. Hi everyone. Wow. Yes. Also help. Okay, Grace said helpful and encouraging ways and means to help people. I know there are those who are suffering from anxieties and depression. So see, I mean, no matter who we are, young, old, whatever status quo that we have, we are not exempted to feel this kind of things like stress, anxiety, depression. But
So
don't
we
worry.
have okay.
What?
We have 600 plus in our YouTube channel right now.
Wow, growing audience on YouTube. Yeah, to 600 plus. Hi there, YouTube viewers, and also here in Webinar Jam. Oh, the youngest 18. We have 18 years old audiences. Nice. It's just only one.
There's
More than
Dr. Singh from India.
wow. Doctor from India. Hello, doc. Hello, doctor. Nice to hear you here.
All right.
Okay.
So I think in 2 minutes we'll start
Sure.
our webinar.
Okay, don't worry. Everyone is welcome to listen and learn from this webinar. Okay, feel free, feel welcome. Okay, and I hope you find your comfortable seats in your home. All right, let's start. All right. Mm-hmm. Welcome everyone to Quezon City Public Library webinar series entitled, okay, it's about libraries and mental health, entitled How to Cope Up with Stress, Anxiety, and Depression During COVID-19 Pandemic. Okay? My name is Faith. By the way, I am your host today. So the objective of this webinar is to spread mental awareness among Filipinos and whoever we can reach online, those who are in abroad also, to learn how we we may effectively cope up to the stress, anxiety, and depression caused by COVID-19. I hope you are all in your comfortable areas right now where you can listen and learn from this very timely and interesting topic. Okay, to start off, let's bow our heads for a prayer, then followed by the Philippine National Anthem.
Sikoy ko kami gimu tolangin. Sikoy ko kami gimu taaldo woy bulan. Ikaw ang nagbuhat sa kabituunan. Ikaw ang nagbuhat sa kalibutan. Manama, mawantog ka. Warag po ko ilingkoy ko. O Diyos, kahibulungan ka. Busa ikaw lang ang simbahon ko. Manama, mawantog ka. Warag po ko ilingkoy ko. O Diyos, kahibulungan ka. Busa ikaw lang ang simbahon ko. Busa ikaw lang ang alagaran ko.
Okay, thank you for that. All right. So good afternoon, everybody. To everyone who just came in, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I hope you are in your comfortable areas now where you can listen and learn from this webinar. Okay, to welcome us, may I call on the head of the Readers Division of QCPL, Ms. Mary Ann Bernal.
Welcome to our QCPL webinar series, Leadership and Mental Health. Our series will start this month of July and every other month to give you learnings at this time of pandemic. First of all, my acknowledgement to the support of our Quezon City government headed by our Mayor Joy Belmonte. Their unwavering support to all QCPL programs, I'm so proud of this project that will help other people on mental health as an integral part to healthy living. Even our libraries are closed, but our services are very much active. Young, old, rich or poor are not excused to experience this unhealthy feeling. That is why how to cope up with stress, anxiety, and depression during COVID-19 pandemic was conceptualized. Wellness for our minds and emotions. Every one of us deserve a knowledge information dissemination. And we are very fortunate to have our guest lecturer was an in-depth knowledge on this topic, Dr. Joanne May G. Perez Riperial, one of the best doctors in psychiatry, being a board top-notcher and has a professional expertise and a heaven-sent partnership with Regalo Touching Lives, headed by Mr. Caloy Eclevia, for the platform part, which are very important in accommodating these huge participants in this webinar. Both gave their services free. At this point, I'm Mary Ann L. Bernal, together with my team staff who work hard for this day and night, the Reader Services Division. Our partner division, District Libraries. Our thanks to our bosses, Ms. Emmy Villanueva, and our OIC, Ms. Marisa Chico, for the support. And of course, our QCPL staff. Happy watching and hope you learned something from this webinar. Salamat po.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bernal. I agree with you, ma'am, that mental health is an integral part or importante siya for a healthy living. Okay, importante siya sa ating buhay. So that's why I commend Ms. Bernal and the whole team of Quezon City Public Library for initiating this kind of webinar that we really need today. So to inspire us, we have the City Government Assistant Department Head 3rd of Quezon City Public Library. May I call on Ms. Marisa Chico.
A blessed afternoon to everyone, especially our participants. First of all, I would like to extend my congratulations to the committees who's in charge of making this webinar possible. To our QCPL Reader Services Division, in partnership with Regalo Touching Lives, and to our distinguished guest lecturer, Dr. Joanne May G. Perez Riperial. Again, congratulations. The coronavirus disease or COVID-19 pandemic is indeed causing stress, anxiety, and even depression to many people. It changed our daily routine. We are now eating and sleeping in broken pattern. It ruined our summer vacation. But worse, it brought fear and worry about our own health as well as our loved ones. And it even caused some people to lose their livelihood. Currently, we are practicing physical distancing. We wear face masks, face shield, and gloves, and many are forced to work at home. All this to protect us from this highly contagious virus. The Quezon City Public Library continuously supports the city government with its fight with this disease by producing videos that are uploaded to its Facebook official page. These videos feature online storytelling, urban gardening, different tutorials, and other activities to keep our community productive while staying at home. Online essay and poetry writing were also conducted, which targeted our youths and senior citizens, the two groups that are strictly enforced to stay at home. The QCPL recognized that this pandemic does not only affect our physical health, but also our mental well-being. Thus and so, these activities were carefully planned to momentarily divert the attention of the community from the virus and give them activities that will keep their creative juices flowing. But we know that this is not enough. We are still in the middle of the war, and we need to be more equipped in battling this unseen foe. Consequently, the QCPL, in partnership with Regalo, is conducting this webinar on mental health during COVID-19 pandemic. We believe that libraries and librarians have a big role to play in keeping our community physically and mentally stable. Though this pandemic causes a lot of suffering, it also gives us a chance to do something extraordinary. It pushes us to develop our skills and to give service beyond the walls of our libraries. I believe that there is no pandemic that can overthrow us as long as we are well educated, courageous to accept challenges, and our hearts are focused to serve our people. With the help of our Almighty God, we will win our battle with COVID-19. Thank you and happy listening.
Thank you, Ms. Chico. So it is overwhelming to know that the QCPL, together with the Quezon City government, initiate different online programs for everybody, for us to still learn and make us productive while we are at home. Okay, so what I like most with what she said, amen to that. By God's help, we will win this battle. So now, let's watch the short video clip of Quezon City Public Library.
Natuturuan, natututunan, livelihood na pwede mo pagkakitaan at mga government online services, passport, pag-ibig, NBI at SSS. Diba the best? Homework mo, huwag mo nang iasa kay nanay, dito ka na sa QCPL tumambay. At meron din para sa ating mga chikiting, children's corner, nakakaiba ang dating. Kesa ipasya natin sa mga mall at bila ng mga gadget. Dito sa QCPL, di mo na kailangan ng budget. Nakakaaliw pag nag-perform ang mga packet. Ang bilis ng internet, makapapawahalit.
QCPL Public Library, we'll have so much fun and also free. QCPL Public Library, I'm not ready to explore, there's no other place I go. QCPL Public Library, free internet access, and we make all the shows
Meron pa pala libre sa panahon nung lidusi o manay-busy, di makagamit na PC. Homework mo, dito mo gawin na taka-easy. Huwag ka na pahuli, ikaw na rin ay bumili. Public library card para araw mapadala sa ipasya natin sa mga mall at bila ng mga gadget. Dito sa QCPL, di mo na kailangan ng budget. Nakakaaliw pag nag-perform ang mga packet. Ang bilis ng internet, makapapawahalit.
City Public Library, Quezon City Public Library, Quezon City Public Library, Quezon City Public Library, QCPL Public Library, we'll have so much fun and also free. QCPL Public Library, I'm not ready to explore, there's no other place I go. QCPL Public Library, free internet access, and we make all the choices.
All right. Thank you. Okay, kudos to Quezon City Public Library for making a wonderful library that is conducive for learning and for being active in our society for the continuous spread of information literacy. Oops, we're not yet allowed to go in the library, but if you want to be updated, just like their page, Quezon City Public Library. All right, so before we get started, I would like to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's events. Okay, participants, please listen. Okay, first, house rule. Always remember to be polite at all times. Second, participants other than the speaker are muted. So it means um, all of the participants are muted, and there is the chat box, sorry, there available. If you have any questions, you can type in there. And after the webinar, there will be time for questions. And lastly, to get an e-certificate, participants are required to attend at least 2 hours. You have to say at least 2 hours of the webinar session and accomplish the evaluation form with the link provided 24 hours after the webinar session. So for the evaluation form, we will provide it after the webinar pa. So please stay in. All right. And now, I know this is all you have been waiting for. Now, without further ado, I am very pleased to introduce to you our expert guest speaker.
Our distinguished guest speaker is a BS Psychology graduate of the University of the Philippines, Diliman. She had her Doctor of Medicine degree at the University of the East, Ramon Magsaysay Memorial Medical Center. She had her residency training in psychiatry at University of the Philippines, PGH, where she served as chief resident in 2008. She is both a diplomate and a fellow board top-notcher of the Philippines Psychiatric Association. She completed a one-year clinical fellowship in consultation liaison psychiatry at Tan Tock Seng Hospital in Singapore. A member of the Committee on Advocacy, Legislation, and Media of the Philippines Psychiatric Association. She assisted the numerous victims of Typhoon Ondoy in 2009, doing psychosocial processing with PPA Psychosocial Response Group. She produced a study presented at Taipei Medical University in Taiwan entitled A Cross-Sectional Study on the Relationship Between Stress and the Level of Job Satisfaction among the burn unit staff of UPPGH. A former board member of the Philippine Psychiatric Association. Currently, she is active in academia, a professor and subject expert in psychiatry at the Ateneo de Manila University, School of Medicine and Public Health, and also a professor of Health Science Program, School of Science and Engineering at the Ateneo de Manila University. Being a mental health advocate, she has been guesting on television, a soon-after resource speaker on all major television networks in the country, a frequent guest in ABS-CBN, GMA7, CNN Philippines, and TV5 talk shows, such as The Rated K, Salamat Po, and Good Vibes, as well as in radio programs of DZMM, DCBB, and Radio 5 that addresses mental health issues and wellness. Some of the interesting topics that she talks about were dealing with depression and anxiety and the current state of the mental health in the Philippines. She is also the first ever and reigning Miss Philippine Psychiatric Association, a full-time consultant of the Department of Psychiatry at the Veterans Memorial Medical Center, and a residency training officer at the same institution. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Joanne May G. Perez Rifarial.
Hello! Good afternoon to everyone. Wala pa. Yes, hello. Good afternoon to everyone. Maraming salamat po. Good afternoon, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, and to all of our kababayans globally or all over the world. I understand, Ma'am Faith, now we have participants from all over the globe. Na? So maraming salamat po. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. I know that it's a holiday here in the Philippines and 1 o'clock, it's siesta time. At so maraming salamat no, for really joining us and sit back, relax lang po, and just listen to my talk. Definitely, I hope that this will be very helpful to all of us as we navigate through these very challenging times. Okay, so allow me po to share my slides. All right. Can you see it? All right, thank you po. Again, our topic for this afternoon is mental health and coping during this COVID-19 pandemic. And first, I would like to thank the QC, Quezon City Public Library, for inviting me for this afternoon's talk. Thank you very much to Sir Caloy and Regalado Touching Lives for helping us with this afternoon's webinar. And of course, to Ma'am Bernal and Ma'am Chico, maraming salamat po for having me this afternoon. So let's start. If we can have a poll, Sir Caloy, can we do this? Kamusta tayo lahat ngayong hapon? How do we feel today? Do we feel happy, stressed, or are we feeling sad or frustrated, angry, sleepy? Meron po bang inaantok sa atin? Are there some of us who are sleepy? So I hope na we just relax and listen to the talk, and this will run for about an hour. For those po who are sleepy, please sorry po, I cannot move it. Okay. For those who are feeling sleepy, you may have your coffee. All right. O, diba? That's your coffee. Ako din, no? I also take coffee, especially during this time, no? Like siesta time. So please have your coffee. But I'm happy that we are all here this afternoon. For those who are feeling stressed, please let us stop focusing on how stressed we are and remember how blessed we are to be here this afternoon. And we are all in this together. I understand that we have close to 1,000 here in our webinar jam. And I think there are also a lot of us in YouTube. So maraming salamat po. This will be the outline for this afternoon's talk. So what is the effect of pandemic on our mental health? What is the new normal, and coping strategies to maintain a positive mindset during this COVID-19 pandemic, as well as adapting to the new normal. And I think some of the expectations earlier were on this, the last two parts, which will be on coping strategies, learning a few practical tips on how to remain mentally healthy during this very extraordinary time, as well as how to adapt to the new normal. And do you agree with this? There is no health without mental health. And in fact, this was already mentioned earlier by by Ma'am Bernal and Ma'am Chico, that it's important to also take care of our mental health and not just of our physical well-being during this time. What is mental health? I would just like to start by giving the 4 elements of mental health. Ano ba yun? What does it comprise? When we say mental health, what do we mean? It is in fact a state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own ability. So what are we capable of? Can cope with the normal stressors of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. So friends, if you notice this word here, so I would just like to emphasize that in life, it's normal to have sources of stress, all right? So we can always encounter difficult situations, stressors from family, from our work, from the environment, etc. But what's important is that we are able to cope well and find strategies to help us go through difficult life situations. So let's start with the effect of mental health of the pandemic on our current mental health. All of us, all right? All of us, including me, diba? We are all dealing with unprecedented uncertainty and major changes to the way we live our lives as a result of this current COVID-19 pandemic. Uncertainty, meaning really during this time, we are not sure. We do not know when we can go out to visit our family, our friends, to go back to our provinces, we do not know when our children can go out and play in the playgrounds or meet their classmates again. So really, there are a lot of things which we are really not sure of at this time. And major changes, as mentioned earlier by our bosses, by Ma'am Bernal and Ma'am Chico. There have been a lot of changes as to how we need to adapt now and what we need to do in order to navigate this pandemic now, like wearing of masks, protective gears, making sure that we protect ourselves when we go out to do our essential tasks. And now we've shifted to work from home, online learning. So really a lot of major changes are happening during this time. But do you know that when there is uncertainty happening around us, or there's that feeling of uncertainty, what happens is that when there is uncertainty, when things are uncertain, we feel as though we have lost control over the situation. So when there is no control, parang we cannot do anything, or we feel limited in the things that we can work on and the things that we can do. So for example, we have no control as to when this quarantine, for example, will be lifted. We have no control over the decisions now regarding work from home or online learning for our kids. And thus, when we feel that we have lost that control, what happens is that it is common. It is common for us to feel stressed and worried when we feel that we've lost that control. And what are the sources of stress? What are the sources of our worries during this difficult time? First and foremost, there is that fear of falling ill, of acquiring the virus, and of maybe being infected by it. There is the fear of going to the hospitals for other medical problems because of the fear of being infected while in the care of the hospitals. Definitely, there are also fear of losing livelihoods at this time. We've heard of the economic situation, of the financial state, not just here in our country, but globally. And in fact, a lot of retrenchments and closures have been ongoing. There's also that fear of being isolated, especially when we will be forced to go into self-isolation or self-quarantine, and thus being separated from our family and loved ones. What are the other fears? Now, fear of being powerless in protecting our family, in protecting our loved ones from the virus. There is also that feeling of hopelessness, helplessness, boredom, especially when we are confined to our homes. There is that feeling of isolation, especially when we go on quarantine for 14 days for those of us who might be exposed to the infection. And for those who've gone through past experiences of an epidemic like SARS-1, which happened in 2002 to 2004, or H1N1 epidemic. So there may be a fear of reliving the experience during the time. And in fact, studies have shown, studies published recently in 2020, that for us, members of the general population, the COVID-19 pandemic may be associated with symptoms of anxiety, depression, distress, and post-traumatic stress disorder. So trauma, symptoms of trauma. And this was shown from studies done in China. where the virus was first observed, or where it originated in China. So let me just show you some studies to back up these findings of anxiety, depression, distress, and PTSD symptoms. So first study done in China by Wang et al. In 2020. It was an online survey which was done on the general population, and it showed that 16.5% had moderate to severe depressive symptoms, 28.8% had moderate to severe anxiety symptoms, and 8.1% had moderate to severe stress levels. Another study, again, also done in China, published in 2020. This time, it was a cross-sectional survey using a mobile app. And they surveyed, again, the general public as well as frontline nurses and non-frontline nurses. And they found traumatization or symptoms of trauma, which is high among the general public, which includes me and you, general public. Lastly, another study, again, done in China by Xiao et al. And this time, it was a cross-sectional study among individuals in self-isolation, those in self-quarantine for 14 days, which is a mandatory thing. Even here in our country, we do that. And studies have shown that there were anxiety symptoms among those in quarantine. And anxiety symptoms were positively correlated with stress. So stress and anxiety symptoms were reported. So please take note, what happens when there is self or social isolation, especially if we have family members or friends in quarantine or in isolation, if we have family members or relatives in quarantine now, be it yung sa Balik Probinsya program or those in quarantine in various places nationwide. Please remember that when they are in self-quarantine, there can be feelings of loneliness, which are associated strongly with anxiety, depression, self-harm, or even suicidal attempts across the lifespan. Across the lifespan, meaning that anyone can really be affected. And I'm happy that we are talking about this now, because we know that self-harm or suicide is in fact a public health emergency. It's a public health concern. And so hopefully this talk will also raise our awareness on that. I've been mentioning about anxiety, depression, and PTSD or trauma. Just to give a rundown of the symptoms of these. The symptoms, in fact, of anxiety, depression, and trauma can overlap. So there's an overlapping of symptoms. Usually there can be physical symptoms such as pains, bodily aches and pains. Sometimes individuals would complain of having headache or backache, stomach pains, neck pains, knee pains. For some, they report of having upset stomach or gastrointestinal symptoms, with heart rate, with cardiac rate or heart rate beating fast, or heart rate beating fast, or having palpitations, difficulty breathing. It can also affect our cognitive, our brain functioning. It affects our level or our ability to concentrate, to make good decisions. Our attention span is affected. And when we say trauma, we can have feelings of nightmares or flashbacks or avoidance symptoms. We avoid places or events or persons which may remind us of the past traumatic event. So again, the symptoms can overlap, and those are the symptoms that we need to monitor for. All right, so it's something that we can reflect on if we have those feelings or physical symptoms and cognitive or symptoms. So again, I'm happy that we are talking about mental health now, because it has been projected that there can be a fourth wave. Now, fourth wave meaning mental health pandemic after the vaccine can be discovered, or medications or the drugs to treat the coronavirus can be discovered or can be made available. Even after the pandemic is resolved, there can be the aftermath of mental health crisis as a fourth wave of the pandemic. And for this fourth wave, we can experience trauma, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms, other forms of mental health problems like anxiety, depression, due to economic injury, again, the financial crisis, the global financial crisis that we are experiencing now, burnout, right, which is very common. Burnout is a term used for chronic feelings of being stressed. So when there is chronic stress, tuloy-tuloy na stress, prolonged stress, that can lead to burnout. And thus, we need to prepare for this fourth wave of mental health pandemic. Now, in fact, we are now slowly transitioning to the new normal. And for us, we call this new normal as the re-entry panic syndrome. So again, there is that state of anxiety, of feeling the panic symptoms, because again, even if the lockdown measures are in fact loosening already, in Metro Manila, it was just announced that we will be in a state of GCQ for now until August 15. But there is still a sense of hesitation to go back to the outside world. And what is the reason for this? Now, what is the reason for this hesitation? First, and I'm sure that we all agree, there is still that persistent fear that we may still catch the virus. Kasi up to now, di ba, there is still no vaccine for this, there is still no medication available for this, and thus, there is still that fear among us about going out and maybe catching the virus. Number two, after effects of and the ongoing strain of the pandemic to our daily routine. Do you remember now when the ECQ or MECQ was shifted to GCQ, and some of us were allowed to go back to our work? I think that was 10 to 30% of the work force were allowed to go back during the time of shifting to GCQ. If you remember, there were a lot of us, diba, who were stranded because of transportation difficulties. So we had a difficult time going to work and back to our homes due to limited transportation during the time. So again, there are lingering problems which can affect our daily routine as we go slowly transition to the new normal. So this new normal, in fact, we call it atypical or atypical, meaning it is not our typical normal, all right? So it's something new and it's different. That's why it's atypical, it's different. The lockdown is slowly coming to an end in a very particular manner because currently, yes, we are allowed to go out for essential travels, for essential needs, but we cannot yet go to restaurants, to bars. In fact, theaters are still closed, and we cannot. It's different. It's really difficult now. Even coffee shops are closed. So the usual coping skills, the usual coping strategies, which were helpful to us in the past, like maybe meeting our friends in coffee shops or going to the mall to do window shopping. Currently, we are unable to do that. All right, due to some of the restrictions, due to quarantine. Also, there is that feeling now of having to go out of our homes would feel like it's a necessity. It's born out of necessity, and it comes with a sense of risk of getting infected or of catching the virus. Therefore, it's not a leisurely activity, right? It's something not it's not something that we do to make us feel relaxed and to help us feel no? Na it's something that we do to enjoy and to feel happy, but in fact that is not the purpose if we are to go out today. So the leisurely feeling of going out is not there anymore. And that's why with these factors, anxiety and stress are definitely normal. It's a natural effect of this pandemic. The fear and anxiety that we are all feeling right now are in fact the normal effects of this pandemic. And the situation that we are currently experiencing now has a lot of common with the state of post-traumatic stress disorder. So there is that feeling of being traumatized because of that life-threatening concern, which is still present during this current times, extraordinary and challenging times. So, having said all of this, it's normal to feel stressed, to feel worried, to feel fearful. What can we do? So this is in fact the meat of our talk for this afternoon, given that background. So what can we do? Definitely, there are a lot of things that we can do to be able to cope and maintain a positive mindset during this time of pandemic. And as mentioned earlier, mental health, in fact, is very important, and psychosocial support. So we call this MHPSS, mental health and psychosocial support, is in fact an integral component of any public health response. In any disaster, in any calamity, it's very important to, of course, make sure that we are mentally healthy and we are able to function well, not just physically and not just medically, and make sure that biopsychosocially we are prepared and at our peak to be able to go about this very difficult and challenging times. So, ano ba, no? How do we start? These are the tips for all of us, for the general population, lahat tayo. Please remember that managing our mental health and psychosocial health is just as important as managing our physical health. So it's important that all of this, talagang we maintain that positive mental and psychosocial well-being. Again, we go back to that slide, Karina, where I mentioned that there is no health without mental health. Why? In fact, according to the WHO, or the World Health Organization, the World Health Organization states that health is the state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So when we say health, definitely it includes mental and social well-being. And why is this important? When we are able to take good care of ourselves mentally, socially, in fact, we can take care, or we are able to help other people. We are in the position to take care of our friends and families better. So please remember, it always starts with us, and by being responsible and taking good care of ourselves, we are also able to take good care of our families, of our children, of our parents, of our colleagues sa trabaho, of our friends. And our connectedness with each other is what matters most during this time of pandemic. So, again, let's focus on that. It's important to take good care of ourselves so that we can take good care of our families, friends, and colleagues. How? The question now is how? Paano yun? How do we take care of ourselves? Number one, most important of all, love yourself. All right? Love yourself. Let us be compassionate with ourselves. We have every right, you have every right to feel frightened, to feel anxious, to feel exhausted. Pag minsan, di ba, it's really too exhausting already, especially for moms and dads. We have multiple roles, like we need to work, we need to take care of our children who are currently doing online classes, and we need to work from home or maybe partially go to work and report on some days. So we take on a lot of tasks, but what's important is we understand that it's normal to feel all of these emotions during this time. When we feel sad, when we feel worried, when we feel anxious, please do not think that this is a weakness of your character, of one's character. Hindi po. It's not. It's not a weakness of our character when we feel these feelings, these emotions. Let us first treat ourselves kindly and acknowledge our feelings, and let us not be guilty about feeling them. All right? So I hope we keep that in mind. And we always hear this now, no? As a summary of this first tip, no? To love ourselves and acknowledge our emotions. It is okay not to be okay during this difficult time. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to cry if it would make you feel better, if it would help relieve the stress and anxiety. It's okay to sometimes feel angry, frustrated. It's okay to express all of these. All right. So remember that these are really challenging and difficult times. So in fact, it is the times now which are abnormal, but it's normal to feel all of the emotions that we are currently going through. Number 2, practical advice is, of course, eat well, get enough rest, sleep, and physical activity and exercise. In fact, my dear friends, there are 10 top 10 stress management techniques that we usually teach those under our care in the clinics, and it starts with this as well. Eating, resting, sleeping, and getting enough exercise. If there's something now which you can remember from this afternoon's talk, it's this one. These are the top 10 stress management techniques, and these are, of course, very powerful and useful during this time. Number 1 is eat. Number 2 is sleep. Number 3 is eat and sleep and eat and sleep, and so on. All right, so I hope that you remember this. This will definitely help in improving our state of mental health and emotional well-being. Do you know na sometimes siguro there are people in the audience now na who have trouble maybe taking or going to sleep, or having a difficulty sleeping. Do you know that when there is a lack of sleep or there's sleep deprivation, it has a lot of effects on our physical health as well. It can affect our mood. How many of us here, diba, if we lack sleep, or if you're not unable to get that good night's rest, we feel irritable, diba? We feel moody. We cannot concentrate in our jobs. We feel na parang we cannot do anything, and it affects our memory as well. So it's sometimes difficult to work and focus in our job if we are not able to get that enough rest and sleep at night. And it affects our physical health as well. Looking at the effects of lack of sleep on our health, it affects a lot of our organ systems. As you can see from this diagram, lack of sleep can affect our cardiac, our heart state. It can increase our risk of developing heart disease. Our immune system goes down. It can increase our blood pressure. It increases the risk of having poor memory, developing dementia, having mood symptoms like irritability, depression, anxiety, and it can also make us, or it increases the risk for weight gain due to the level of hormones secreted when we lack sleep. For those of us who are working, or for those who are working from home or taking care of their children, please take note. This is in fact the reason why there are breaks in our work day. Diba? In the usual work day, we have breaks. And during those breaks, we can take naps. And these are the benefits of taking naps. Diba? From 20 to 30 minutes, when we take breaks after lunch and we take our nap, it gives us that energy boost. It boosts our energy. But if we extend our sleep to about an hour, diba? Usually our break time, our lunch break is from 12 to 1. So it helps with our short-term memory. Memory improves and our creativity improves as well. For students, I suggest that prior to taking an exam, please get a good night's rest, as definitely it will improve your cognitive state. It will improve your memory and creativity during your exam. Of course, as mentioned earlier, eat well, eat nutritious foods. We need to boost our immune system during this time for us to be able to avoid being infected or catching the virus. Third tip, friends, is avoid using unhelpful coping strategies. So let us focus our coping strategies to what was mentioned earlier, which were the healthier options, and avoid unhelpful coping strategies like cigarette smoking, drinking alcoholic beverages, or using prohibited substances. Because with the use of all these, it can in fact worsen our mental and physical well-being in the long run. Studies have shown that alcohol, although it gives us that feeling of pleasure or disinhibition in the first few minutes of taking alcohol, but its effect in our brain, in fact, it is a natural depressant. So it gives us that symptoms of depression in the long run. So please let us avoid those unhelpful coping strategies. Number 4, as mentioned, if you recall, I pointed it out kanina, the effects of social isolation, and thus it's important to remain or maintain social connectedness. In fact, the WHO and our association, the Philippine Psychiatric Association, as much as possible, we are trying to veer away from the term social distancing. What we prefer sana to use is physical. In fact, physical. They always say 6 feet distance from one another when we go out of our homes. We maintain that. But we remain socially connected. We remain socially connected. And it's important that we maintain social contact with people who might be isolated during this time. We can always drop a line or two. We can call them, message them, do video calls, and that's how technology is very powerful now. We can, in fact, see the members of our family or friends from abroad through video calls, FaceTime, Viber calls, etc. For our friends who might be in isolation or who might be stranded, we've heard of cases where some of our kababayans are stranded in ships at this point, or they're placed in quarantine for now. We can always provide care and support, especially during this difficult time when they are away from their loved ones and families. It's important to provide care and support for them. It's important to help them. Again, we are all in this together, and let's help one another. Why? Because by helping them, by helping others, we are in fact helping ourselves. Do you agree? Do you believe in this? No, no. When we are able to help others, we are in fact helping ourselves as well. And studies have shown that when we do good, when we do something good, when we serve, when we help others, it also makes us feel good and it gives us more meaning and purpose to our lives. And studies have shown that when we do something, when we help out, it gives that boost, it boosts that part of our brain which makes us feel good. And there is that release of the neurotransmitter dopamine, which is a pleasure hormone. It makes us feel good. It makes us feel pleasure. Okay. I'm sorry, there is a note here. Okay. All right. So let's move on. Number 5. So number 5. Create a menu of personal self-care activities. Personal self-care. This is related to the first tip given earlier about self-love, self-care, and being compassionate to ourselves. Personal self-care activities are very important. During this time of quarantine, I'm sure that we are able to bond with our family members more, especially with our kids. For those of us who have kids and for those of us who are taking care of our parents, this is a time to do some things together, bond with them, play games with our children, especially now that even our kids are having their classes from home through online learning. So we can read books together, watch TV together, play games together, board games together. So there are a lot of things that we can do now that we are, in fact, spending or able to spend more time with our family members. By self-care activities, it's also important for us to find a stress outlet, diba? During this time of quarantine, I've heard of stories I've heard of stories or sharing about the things that we've forgotten na pala before na we are good at, the skills that somehow we've not practiced because of work-related pressure or scheduling activities or being busy with work and with our jobs. Sometimes we forget that we are good at a lot of skills and activities. For example, some of us have gone back to cooking, baking, di ba? Baking pastries, cooking. Yung iba naman, they paint, they draw, they write in their journals. Some have gone back to photography as a form of their stress outlet. Some would read books and watch TV. Some would do exercises, swim, for those who are able to go to the swimming pool and take a dip. So there are, in fact, a lot of activities which can help in terms of our expression of managing with our stress. Personally, I would like to share that I'm happy. My stress outlet, especially if I come home from hospital duty. When I am not on duty in the hospital, I usually read my books. I have a collection of James Patterson novels, and it really makes me feel good and happy. And this was something which I failed to do when during the past, when I was really busy with a lot of stuff. So I hope that you can also rediscover and relearn some of the skills and talents that you have. Yun pala, during this time, I've also heard of physical activity by doing TikTok. Oh, do you do that? TikTok, diba? Dancing to TikTok, singing, definitely can also boost the level of endorphins because it makes us feel good and it makes us feel happy. All right, next, number 6, let us set time for news and social media. I know that sometimes we learn or we hear overwhelming news from social media. When we hear about statistics, about the number of cases, sometimes it creates that feeling of anxiety. It makes us feel more anxious. And the result of this is it can affect our productivity and functionality because of the overwhelming feeling brought by this news from social media and from the news that we hear now from TV. And that's why what we always advise is schedule a limited time for news and social media during the day. What we advise is to limit it to 1 in the morning, 1 at night. So 1 in the morning just to check for the updates from the previous night, and at night to check for updates from what happened during the day, and that's it. Let's limit our use of social media for us not to feel too overwhelmed by all of the things or misinformation. Misinformation can happen when we are bombarded by a lot of info from social media. In fact, fake news, misinformation about COVID-19 can spread faster than the virus. And that's why we always remind those under our care to think well, think before we click. Think before we click. Because sometimes if the info that we share in our own social media platforms are unverified or from unreliable sources, then baka tayo, we are creating that panic and anxiety from the posts that we share. So think before we click. Number 7, remember that our heightened emotions can have an impact towards how we interact with others. Again, during this time of pandemic, it's normal to feel all sorts of emotions. It's normal, all right? But let us be aware and remember that once our emotions are heightened, it's not the usual state of being sad or angry. When it's heightened, it can have an effect on how we interact with other people, as shown from this diagram. If you look at the left side of the screen, normally under normal circumstances, when there is no crisis, when there is no stress or problem, our logical or thinking brain makes us come up with the right decisions. We are able to think clearly, think well, and we are more able to weigh our options because our cognitive processes are not clouded. But when we go through crises, when we go through a stressful situation, definitely our feelings become heightened, and sometimes our judgment becomes clouded. And that's the reason why sometimes, I'm not sure if this has happened to you already, sometimes when we are angry, when we are frustrated, we make comments, we say things, or we do things, or react differently, and it may be difficult to take these back. Diba? Sometimes we rant on our social media platforms when we feel too frustrated or angry, but when we feel more relaxed, more calm, then we look back and say, why did I post that? Why did I say that? And sometimes it's really difficult to take it back, and conflicts may arise because of our heightened emotions. That's why it's really important to keep calm. Keep calm and keep your emotions in check. And this is important to maintain a peaceful and calm environment in our workplace, in our homes, in our relationships with our friends. So please keep our emotions in check. Number 8, remember that anxiety can be paralyzing when it becomes too overwhelming. Please remember now, we should not fear about feeling anxious, all right? As mentioned kanina, anxiety during this time of pandemic is a normal reaction. It's a normal reaction. We all feel that. But too much anxiety can be paralyzing, can be overwhelming. So, what do we do? Please remember or accept that sometimes there are things that are beyond our control. Really, there's a lot of things now during this pandemic which are beyond our control, like working from home, lack of transportation, our children staying at home to do online classes. Those are beyond our control. But instead, let's focus on the things or events that are still within our control to lessen that feeling of being overwhelmed, of being paralyzed by too much anxiety. Number 9, and this is very important, it can definitely help us go through this very difficult situation now. Let us practice gratitude. Gratitude by counting our top 5, or kung pwede, if there are more than 5 blessings for the day, then it's important that we acknowledge and be thankful, be grateful for the blessings that we have. Personally, I would just like to share na one of the things that I'm really grateful for during this time of pandemic is the constant and the unlimited supply of oxygen that we are able to take in, to breathe in, the moment we wake up in the morning, diba? The moment we wake up in the morning, there is that unlimited supply of oxygen, and it's really something that I'm really grateful about. We've heard stories of our kababayans, of our mga kapamilya who are currently admitted in the ICU, and really every breath is really very difficult. Taking in that breath from a ventilator is really very difficult. So please, let's focus on our blessings. The gift of family, maybe the gift of being able to stay and reconnect with our family members during this time of quarantine when we are in the same house with them, which siguro prior to the pandemic, we are not able to spend as much time as we would like with them. Okay, I'm sure in your own personal experiences, you have a lot of things to be grateful for, to be grateful about. Number 10, and this is in fact very important, laughter is still the best medicine. Do you agree with this? Laughter is still the best medicine. Studies have shown that when we laugh, we release the natural hormones of endorphins. Endorphins are the happy hormones, and it's natural. We release that when we laugh, when we smile, and studies have shown that when we laugh, it decreases pain. Remember endorphin, diba? It's structurally related to morphine. Morphine is in the form which we take for pain. It's a pain reliever. So endorphins are the naturally occurring happy hormones, and it can also promote muscle relaxation. It lessens our wrinkles. For those ladies in the house, it lessens our wrinkles, and it definitely can reduce anxiety because of the happy hormones released when we laugh. And laughing feels good. So smile and laugh. I watch comedy shows. I watch films which are feel good. Tawa lang ng tawa. No? Keep on laughing, keep on smiling. Definitely, the release of endorphins will be very helpful to make us feel calm and more relaxed during the state of crisis. Number 11, let us all maintain a hopeful outlook. Hopeful outlook. I know that it's hard to remain positive when life is not going our way during this time, when there are a lot of, when there is a global health, financial crisis is happening. I know it's difficult to remain positive, but an optimistic outlook empowers you to expect that good things can happen to you. So rather than dwell on worrying, on being fearful about the things which can happen in the future, try to visualize and picture in your head what you want, what you can do during this time of pandemic. I've heard some of my friends have gone into for those who are not able to work at this point, they remain hopeful. They've they've become more creative. They've gone into online selling of baked products, of pastries, cakes, which makes them feel good. Again, it's a form of revisiting their talents, their skills, and at the same time, they're able to share their talents to their friends who are able to appreciate the kind of the quality of their products, and at the same time they earn from it. All right, so related to maintaining a hopeful outlook is practicing positive self-talk. It takes practice. That's why I emphasized it, practice, because I know that this is easier said than done. That's why we need to practice it. It's a process. It doesn't come overnight, and we really need to be mindful of our thoughts, because how we react to things is definitely under our control. Remember what I mentioned earlier about focus on the things which are under your control, and this is one of those. Practice positive self-talk, because when our thoughts are positive, our emotions are also positive. It makes us feel good, and it results to more positive actions, positive habits, and results to positive behaviors. So let's have a test, all right? Let's have a test of how positive you are. Okay, let's have a test. Can you tell me, or maybe Sir Kaloy, they can write it in the chat box. What do you see from this slide? This is a test actually of perception. And studies have shown that how we perceive things can definitely have an impact on how we view a situation as stressful or not. Okay? Sir Kaloy, meron na ba? Are there answers in the chat box? I cannot see po kasi. What do you see from this photo? Ano
Okay.
kaya? Yes.
So according to Sir Romel, a glass of water.
Yes. Agree?
There's some of them half full. There's some of them clean drinking
Yes.
water. Then glass half filled with
Yes.
water. Most of them it said half full.
Half full of water.
Yes, of water. Yes.
Was there anyone who said the glass is half empty?
None.
None.
So far, yeah. So far po, it's half full glass of water.
Half full
This
lahat.
one, Mrs. Stephanie said both half empty and half full.
Okay, yeah. All right. Okay, so let's look, kasi again, let's remember that how we perceive things, like this glass, how we perceive things can have an effect on how we react also, no? Kasi if we perceive it as positive, then it doesn't create stress. But if we perceive a situation in a medyo negative light, then it can be stressful. So I appreciate your responses. Some of you, most of you, in fact, said that the glass is half full. And siguro there may be some who said that the glass is half empty. So for those who are optimistic, the positive thinkers in us would definitely say that the glass is half full. Meron laman, no? The glass is half full. That's a very positive way of looking at it. But for some, na medyo, maybe it's affected by the situation now, they see it as half empty. What do you think would the most positive among us say? What do they see from this picture? Any guess from the audience? Ano kaya, no? For all of those who are most positive, the most positive of all people, what do you see? Meron kaya who would like to volunteer?
Doc, most of the audience said half full of glass of water. Half water?
Okay, half full.
Alright.
So there was no
Oh, yeah.
one who said that the glass is 100% full. None. Okay.
None, Doc.
Yes.
Yes.
Because studies have shown that for those of us who are most positive, okay, positive thinkers in life, they would view this glass as 100% full. Why? It's 50% water and 50% air. And that's why it's still full. All right? So, ganon, na? So, remember that how we perceive a situation has definitely an effect on how we also feel about it. All right? If we perceive it as positive, then we don't feel too stressed. If we perceive it as medyo lacking or a problem, then it can cause stress for us. So practice, please, positive, a hopeful outlook, positive outlook. And this is one of the things now which I saw in Facebook, and I really like this. I am stronger than my challenges, and my challenges are making me stronger. O, di ba? Talagang it's both positive. Both phrases, in fact, are very positive. Number 13, practice mindfulness. What is mindfulness? In fact, it means being in the here and now, being in this moment. All right? It's important that we remain mindful of the things, the tasks, the goals that we can do during this time. Before kasi, what we usually advise when for those under our care is think of short-term goals, intermediate goals, long-term goals. But for now we are not sure about what will really happen. There is still that feeling of uncertainty. It's better to focus, be here and now, focus on the here and now, so that our anxiety can be lessened. Now, we do not feel too stressed about future events. All right. So focus on the here and now. Be mindful of the things now you are able to achieve every day, and let's celebrate those small victories. Number 14, let's take care of our spiritual needs. When we say spiritual needs, it doesn't mean religion, all right? Filipinos are known to be spiritual, prayerful. So what this means really is being able to reflect and find the purpose and meaning of what is going on now. Finding the purpose and meaning of our lives, the things that we are going through now. For some, they say that the meaning of this is in fact reconnecting with our loved ones that maybe we've really taken for granted in the past due to our busy schedules. For some, the purpose of all that's happening now is the healing of our Mother Earth. Given that pollution has been lower and we're able to see that the skylines are clearer, Manila Bay waters are clearer due to lesser pollution. So in fact, all of us can reflect on this later on and find what really is the purpose and meaning of this pandemic to us. And lastly, stress reduction exercises are very helpful. And first one, deep breathing. Do you know how to do this? You can find a perfect spot in your homes, in your offices. Sit in a relaxed position. Close your eyes to minimize any form of stimulation. Inhale slowly through your nose, 4 counts. Pause for 4 counts and slowly exhale through pursed lips. Ganon, 4 counts. And repeat 10 times. And the reason behind this, scientifically evidence-based, this can help lower our cortisol levels, which are the stress hormones. So bumabagsak ang stress level. The stress hormones are lower, thereby lowering our blood pressure, lowering our heart rate, and make us feel better. No? It can lower our respiratory rate so that we do not have trouble breathing, and other stress reduction exercises. And I'm sure you can download this from apps. There are meditation apps available, or stress reduction apps available, which can also lower anxiety. So in a summary of all of these practical tips which I mentioned, remember that we can overcome anything, all right? Anything. And possibilities are endless. Whether it's something we are going through right now, maybe there's something tough and challenging that we are going through currently. Remember that possibilities are endless. I'm sure that we are all creative. We can find solutions, we can find options, and we can overcome anything and everything, especially with the help of our support system from our family and friends. Now, moving to adaptation to the new normal. I think this was one of those raised in the chat box earlier, how to adapt to the new normal. Very importantly, number one, acceptance is the key. Let us accept that really we are now transitioning to the new normal. In fact, reopening is not going back to the normal as we've previously known it, but it's in fact trying to find ways to allow us to go back to do the things that we have to do, like going back to work, going back to be of service and help our fellow men, or to do business to keep our economy afloat. All right, so let us learn to accept that now we are slowly in this transition to the new normal. Let us accept change. I know it's really difficult when we are used to doing things, repeatedly. Changes in our routine can be difficult, but let's accept. Again, acceptance is the key. Let's accept that change is a normal part of life. In fact, there is a song by Jose Marie Chan about this. There is nothing as constant as change. And because of the pandemic, we know that certain goals or ideals may no longer be attainable as a result of the adverse situations now. But when we learn to accept those, that there are some things that we cannot change, then this can help us, in fact, focus and give our fullest attention to the circumstances that we can alter or have control over. Again, I re-emphasize that. It's really important to focus on the things that we have control over. And let's embrace change so that from there on, we can move forward to the things that we have control over. Number two, and I'd like to emphasize this as a physician, part of adapting to the new normal and to help lessen the anxiety and worry, especially if we need to go out and do our work and essential tasks, let us maintain health precautions by keeping that 6-foot distance, wearing masks properly, doing virtual gatherings for now because mass gatherings are still prohibited by the government, and staying at home if we feel that we are developing symptoms of the flu. They say that self-distancing, physical distancing, is the new self-care for now. And I'd like to give a quick explanation for this. Why do we need all of this? Government has always been telling us to maintain that 6 feet distance from one another when we go out, to buy groceries, to buy our medications. Why? Droplets can in fact travel to as far as 6 meters when someone coughs, or ang 6 feet kasi is about 1.8 meters, which is the distance of the travel of droplets when someone exhales or sneezes. So, aabot siyang ganon, the projectile. That's why, really, please remember, keep distance, especially when you go out, and wear masks properly. When we wear masks, we are in fact limiting the spread of the virus. Okay, look at the lowest portion. When our friends or even an asymptomatic carrier wear masks, but as we healthy individuals wear masks, then there is that very low risk of transmission. Remember to wear your masks well, please. When you go out, remember to keep the colored side out, white side in, all right? Kasi the colored side is that protective barrier because it's non-absorbent. So if someone sneezes, it will not absorb it. So it's the protective barrier because it's non-absorbent, and the white should stay inside. No? It should come in contact with yung ating nose and down to our chin level to absorb naman the moisture coming from our own bodily secretions, like saliva and sweat. And it should be from the bridge of the nose down to the level of the chin. So wear our masks properly. Studies have shown that if we combine this, wearing masks and keeping our physical distance, definitely the rates of getting the infection is definitely lower. And knowing this, again, education is key. Definitely, it will help lessen our anxiety when we go out for essential travels, no? Or essential needs to buy food, grocery, medicine, or to go to our work. We are all in this together, all right? Lahat tayo. In fact, not just in the Philippines, but this is global. Kaya it's a global health crisis. Let us please uplift and ease the anxiety in others. Let's help one another. Let's show compassion and understanding, especially to our family members, our friends, who might also be going through a difficult time during this time. For teachers, please show compassion to your students. Definitely, not everyone can have access to strong Wi-Fi or internet connections during this time. And to employers also, maintain compassion. Make sure that we respect that boundary between home and work balance. So if we can avoid messaging or sending assignments or maybe mga reports or Viber or Messenger messages during the weekend or after office hours for us to maintain that healthy state of well-being, mental health well-being. And also, since we are all in this together, let's all fight the stigma. All right? We've heard of stories, di ba? Kawawa, no? Na, especially for those na with the knowledge that they've been exposed or working in the front lines. There is stigma, and we acknowledge this. It's still happening. Please let us fight this together. Viruses do not discriminate, and neither should we. In fact, it's important that we show support to those who are going through this infection. So my question now, if we can have a poll, no, or raise of hands, or just say yes or no. When faced with challenging or difficult situations like this current pandemic, do you bend or do you break? Do we bend or do we break? Ano kaya? How do you feel? No? Or how do you handle challenges and difficult life situations? Do we have a poll? Sir Kaloy? Yes.
Doc, they can just type their answer in the chat box. Okay, what's the option again? If they can bend or
break. Bend. They sway, no? Syempre, if there's problem, concerns, sometimes talaga we bend, no? Kasi parang there's too much to handle. Or break, meaning talagang we break down, we lose hope, lose that capacity to bounce back from any life adversity. So what are the answers?
Mostly, They bend. Most of the audiences, they answered bend. Yes. There are just few who answered break, but
Yeah.
mostly the answers is bend.
Bend. Okay,
Yes.
so mostly, no, we
Yes.
bend but do not break. What does this mean? Filipinos, we are all known to be resilient. What is resilience? No? Resilience means being able to bounce back. Bend, bounce back from difficult experiences. Filipinos are known for this. But resilience kasi there's also levels of severity or of how resilient a person is. So may iba not so resilient, yung iba naman medyo for some of the time, but for some almost all of the time, they're able to bounce back like a ball, di ba? If a ball falls or if we fall, then we are able to bounce back and rise again. I always remind those under my care, especially, please remember that when we, parang bola, no? When we go down and hit rock bottom, what happens? There's no other way to go but up. All right? So when we hit rock bottom, there's no other way to go but up. And that is what is meant by being able to bounce back and be resilient. And so during this time of global health crisis, let us hold on to hope and resilience. Definitely the adjustment phase now, what's happening now is really difficult again, and it's normal not to feel okay during this very difficult time. But remember that this too shall pass. This is temporary. And I'm sure all of us have gone through some difficult life experiences in the past. I'm sure we've had several trials and challenging situations before, which made us siguro question our ability to bounce back and to rise above the challenges. But remember that, everything is temporary. And I'm sure if we look back from these experiences now, in 2 years' time or in 3 years' time, I'm sure we will remember how this experience helped us grow, both personally and professionally. And definitely from any adverse life situation, we will all come out as stronger individuals. And remember po na all of us are essential. All of us. All of us are essential. And that, again, we are all in this together. You are not alone. You are never alone wherever you might be today during this time. We are all in this together. Everyone is in this together, not just in our country, but globally. All of us, we have the shared experience globally, not just here. And this pandemic will soon be over. Again, this is temporary. This too shall pass. This is temporary, and especially helpful during this time is if we listen to facts. Again, avoid spreading fake news. Proper action like making sure that we are protecting ourselves by wearing our protective gears, alcohol, frequent hand washing, etc. And let's show support for one another. But if you feel that you need to talk to someone, remember that help is always available. And in fact, this is a list of centers offering free online counseling during this time. And the National Center for Mental Health, which is a DOH hospital, has a helpline which is available 24 hours, 7 days a week to help those who may be needing extra counseling during this time. All right, so our last slide. Some take-home points that you can, in fact, reflect on and remember as you go through your activities later on, and maybe you can take note of this, and it's something that you can digest as you go on with your daily activities. Number one, it is okay not to feel okay during this time of pandemic. Your emotions are all valid. Please do remember that these are not signs of a weakness of your character. No, these are all valid emotions. These are all normal reactions to an abnormal situation. It's the situation now which is abnormal. Number two, we can use this pandemic as an opportunity for growth. Definitely, we will come out of this pandemic as stronger individuals, both professionally and personally. There will always be growth from adverse life experiences and lessons learned. And lastly, we are all in this together. Help is available. And I'm glad that the QC Public Library had this talk this afternoon to remind us that we are all in this together. It's a shared, it's a collective response, no? It's a collective experience. And definitely, we can help one another, even if tayo din, we're going through our own personal concerns, but still, looking at the wider perspective, we can still help those in need. All right. So, going back to the question earlier, if we bend, do you bend or do you break? Are you able to bounce back from negative life experiences? This is my answer personally. I may bend, which is common and normal. Yeah, talaga namang sometimes it's really difficult, and sometimes we need to cry and express it. We feel frustrated, angry, helpless, but I will never break. I will bounce back, and I hope that you remember that ball, which normally it bounces back. When we hit rock bottom, there is no other way to go but up. All right? So, everyone, I hope that we all stay safe during this time of pandemic. Again, stay positive. Positive thoughts translate to positive emotions and positive actions. And let's make this happen together. And thank you very much to everyone for joining us this afternoon. Let us face this situation with strength and hope. Maraming salamat po.
All right. Thank you so much, Doc.
Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you so much for sparing your time and sharing valuable information and practical tips that we can really do at home that will help us to cope up with this kind of, pandemic that we are having right now.
Yes. Thank you po. Thank you.
Yes, Doc. Doc, we will go ahead and take some time for questions.
Sure. Yes.
Okay, Doc. So for
We
yes.
have time pa naman, di ba, ma?
Yes, Doc. Opo.
Aha.
So for the participants, just a reminder, please be sure to type your questions into the chat box. Okay, to start off, Doc, I have a question also.
Yes.
I'll start it.
Nakikita ko ngayon, bend. Yeah.
Yes, opo.
Bend. Let us
Opo.
bend, but hopefully
Yes.
do not break. Yeah?
All right. We will not break. Okay,
Oo.
Doc, to start off, because a while ago, so before the start of the webinar, I asked the audience
Yes.
how old are they? So mostly the youngest is 18. There are some 18, 20s, ganun. And
Teenagers.
yes, Doc. So my question is actually for them. Kasi Doc, we have the luxury of time, especially for them, means because they just only attend to their schools, especially now that they are going to have their online classes. And before that, since August pa yung the Taylor resumed their classes, they have the luxury of time to do everything like play games, watch Netflix, all the form of entertainment present at home. And then most of the time, I know I'm also guilty on this. We're not time conscious. There are some times na we're not time conscious. So the ending would be, you tend to sleep late. Right? And then you say, kasi po you emphasize a while ago na you eat, sleep, diba, Doc, for us to be healthy as well. So what will you suggest po? The sleeping routine that you can suggest to teenagers and millennials?
Yes. So that is a very good question, Ma'am Faith. No? Kasi currently, we are now preparing for the opening of classes of
Yes.
everyone. We are preparing, of course, DepEd has set the opening of classes for August 24, but I know for some schools, they've started early. So
Yes.
now is the perfect time to again slowly adjust your sleeping patterns para we are prepared for the start of school by August. So if we can lessen, we always suggest or advise sleep hygiene for us to be able to get a good night's rest, which is very important to help in our memory and our cognitive state and concentration and focus by morning when school, the usual regular school starts. Also, I need to remind na it's also advisable to limit gadget use, turn off all gadgets, siguro a few hours, an hour prior to going inside your rooms to help you calm down to signal your brain that it's time to rest, because we know that gadgets emit blue light. This blue light kasi can have an effect. It simulates the natural sunlight. So it tells our brain it's still morning. So that's why it's really important to turn off all gadgets. Kung pwede, if we can, no TV inside the room, no gadgets inside the room, so that we do not get that stimulation from blue light from our gadgets, and we are able to get a proper night's rest. So slowly lang. And kung as early as now, also, I would like to emphasize, better to set a routine already para by the time that the school opens, we are more or less prepared and used to that routine, like sleeping at this particular time, waking up at a specific time, then taking your bath or shower, and then eating your breakfast. So with that routine, it now gives us that sense of normalcy. It gives us that sense of structure no we need, which somehow siguro was affected during the early parts of quarantine.
Thank you so much, Doc. So for our millennial audience there, okay, you have to set sleeping routine as early as now.
Yes. Oo,
Okay.
kailangan kasi yun, the structure is very important kasi it gives them that sense of meaning and purpose of the day-to-day tasks that they need
Yes.
to do. And in terms of eating, na-mention kasi kanina Ma'am Faith, in terms of
Yes.
I have a lot of those under my care, that they're saying, "Oh, Doc, I've gained weight during the time of quarantine. Is it true? But I've gained weight," and I always advise them that it's okay to gain weight during this time. What's more important, again, perspective. We maintain that perspective. That what's important is that we are healthy, our immune system is strong, and hopefully with the things that they eat, are nutritious, which can also help in boosting their immune system. That is very important to keep us healthy during this time of global health crisis.
Okay, Doc. Thank you for answering my question, Doc. So, Doc, there are some few questions pa here. So, can you share a brief
Yes.
and concrete definition of toxic positivity?
Okay. This toxic positivity kasi, it's we always hear this now, and sometimes it can really affect our state of mental health, because this is defined as posting in social media about things that sound positive, but in fact there is that connotation that it entails a lot of hard work, a lot of it sounds good to be positive, but it entails there is a connotation that it comes with it, that sense of how do you call it, yung being too positive about sensitive topics. So which is also not good, kasi when we are too sensitive about certain topics, it makes it too toxic na? Toxic. That's why it's toxic positivity.
Oh, Doc, it should be balance.
Yeah, balance
Alright.
lang so that
Balance
it doesn't feel naman na there is a connotation kasi na when we sound too positive about certain topics, even sensitive topics, then it can really affect our mental health as well.
Okay, Doc, another one. Most of the time, I experience a heaviness on my chest. Is it a symptoms of anxiety?
Heaviness.
Of chest.
Okay.
On my chest.
Are there other symptoms kaya? Kasi again, when we say anxiety, we feel that the palpitations, sometimes we feel na parang may nakadagan, there's something there. The heaviness in our chest is there and our breathing is affected. But what's important is kung if it's persistent and the individual hasn't been tested before or assessed for any heart or cardiac problem, I hope that they've had it checked out first before we say that it's really due to anxiety, because some symptoms of anxiety in fact are due to cardiac or heart problems. So mas maganda if there is a proper evaluation for that, and if it's cleared na there's nothing wrong with their cardiac status, then it can be a symptom of anxiety.
All right, Doc. So next one. So does stress causes hormonal imbalance? And is there a way to prevent hormonal imbalance when we are stressed?
Yeah, when we are stressed, kasi nga it activates the fight or flight response. Fight or flight, meaning when there is a stressful situation, like for example lang, that there is a dog na parang a dog who is about to bite you or run after you, it activates that fight or flight response. So it helps us. So there is that rush of adrenaline and hormones which can help for us to fight that stressful situation or run, diba, to escape. So yes, there are hormones involved in that, and sometimes when the stress is prolonged, there is the release of cortisol, which I mentioned kanina. It's a stress hormone, which is a high when we feel prolonged stressors or when we feel prolonged stress. But there are some techniques to lower the level of serotonin, such as deep breathing exercises. Yun, talagang scientifically that has been proven to lower cortisol levels, because when we do deep breathing, it increases the level of oxygen in the brain and it lowers our levels of stress hormones.
Doc, thank you po. Doc, there are still a lot of questions, but we'll just break for a little. Okay, we will just promote, Doc, your page, your Facebook page, which is Healthy Mind Clinic. You can see there in offers. Okay, for our participants, you may click it. Okay, you can like Doc.
Okay, Healthy Mind Clinic or my Facebook page.
Yes, Doc.
They can always visit that. Yung name ko naman yun. It's my name, Joan May Perez Rifarial.
Yes, Doc. Our participants can see it right now in their screen, wide in their screen. They can click it and like it as well, so that they can reach you out if they want to consult you, if they are feeling something, right?
Pwede. There is a message, din kasi doon.
Yes,
you can send a message anytime. If I'm not naman on hospital duty, pag off ako, I will definitely answer.
Okay, Doc. Doc, thank you for that being open to us. And also, Doc, is it okay if I can ask other questions also?
Yes. Oo. Medyo nawawala lang.
Opo, Doc. I hope you... Okay.
Yes.
All right, Doc. Okay, let's go ahead. Now, what would be the effect of using social media like TikTok in our mental health?
So TikTok kasi is an app which helps, no? Kasi it helps us with physical activity. It provides an opportunity for us to dance and to move. Kaya it's also a form of physical activity, and this can boost Any form of physical activity can in fact boost the level of endorphins, and it can make us feel good or happy. So it's okay. But with the rest of the social media platforms, yun yung what I mentioned earlier, na if we can limit our use of other social media platforms where we might be able to read some overwhelming news or fake news or misinformation, which can cause more anxiety and stress for us. That's why there is a need to limit our social media use.
Okay, Doc. So, dyan pa rin po papasok yung we have to implement self-discipline within ourselves as well.
Yes,
Okay, Doc, this one is a bit personal question because it's really a real case. Like my mom was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Then she was discharged last March and continued to take her meds at home. There are times I observe her doing blank staring. I am asking her what's bothering her or what she's thinking. She said it was nothing. What can I do? Or where can I ask help?
Yeah. So her mom was diagnosed, So
Yes, ma'am. Bipolar disorder.
yes, so I would think that the mom already has an attending doctor, attending psychiatrist. So I would suggest to maintain that regular follow-up with the attending psychiatrist so that the psychiatrist can monitor and maybe possibly adjust the treatment or the medications being done currently. But as the daughter, I'm happy that the daughter is very supportive, and I can feel the unconditional love of the daughter towards her mom, for her mom, kasi nga she's very concerned. So continue being that. Continue being the supportive daughter that you are. Continue to be there for your mom kasi talagang that is a very very important aspect or form of healing. Then it can help in the healing and recovery of your mom, for her to realize that the social support from you and from the rest of the family is really strong.
Right, Doc. So, a huge part po talaga yung family support. Even if it's,
Yes.
we cannot express it every day to our parents, to our loved ones.
Oo.
Pero laking bagay po talaga nun. So, Doc,
Yes.
last question sa lang po.
Of
Sorry
course,
na, because
yes.
they keep on coming actually.
Okay lang. Yeah.
Okay lang.
Magpapit tayo up to 7 o'clock.
No, hindi naman.
Ayan.
Anyway, Doc, for the last one, last two, Doc, okay. So, Doc, this one. Mental health are less prioritized in school. And students suffering from anxiety are labeled as maarte or acting lang yan, and are consistently neglected by some teachers and peers. So what can you say about this po? Or what can you also advise to teachers?
Yeah. So it starts pa rin again with the awareness. So I hope there are also teachers here present in the audience now. It starts with the awareness that mental health concerns or problems are in fact true medical problems, because there are underlying biological mechanisms or neurotransmitters affected in our brain. So we should refrain, please, from saying that that's arte-arte lang. I in fact, in my own practice, I hear that from some of their family members or teachers na arte-arte lang, just para lang mag-absent, just to make themselves absent from work, from school. But definitely, it's not arte-arte lang. It's not drama. It's something that really needs medical attention and support from the family and friends.
Okay.
And I'm happy, also I need to add lang, Ma'am
Sure,
Sheila.
Doc.
I'm happy that with the passage now of our mental health law, there is a provision there that mental health should in fact be cascaded down to the schools. It should be incorporated in the school's curriculum, as well as mental health promotion in our workplaces. So in fact, it's a provision there, and hopefully the schools and workplaces now have programs related to mental health.
Okay, Doc. Doc, last one, promise.
Yes. Oh,
We
naman,
will-
okay lang mag-bid. Oo,
Doc, I
okay.
really, I never thought na talaga our participants are really active asking questions.
Which is good, ha?
Very,
Kasi nga
yes, Doc.
talagang,
Mm.
during this time, it's a holiday, no? And
Yes,
it's
Doc.
siesta time. But I really thank you, ha, for joining us.
Yes, Doc. This is the last one because you mentioned a while ago that there are people who are who are undergoing self isolation,
Yes.
and there are some who are far away from their families, diba? Some are in abroad working, they're alone dealing
Or
with their own
stranded.
problem. Yes, Doc, and also there are some in the province.
Yes.
They're alone. So with this one, how can you motivate yourself regarding your personal problems in an absence of a family or if you are alone?
Okay, that's a very good question, huh? Kasi we saw earlier that when there is self-isolation, there can be feelings of loneliness, which may start to creep in. Loneliness, which can increase the symptoms of anxiety, depression, and at the extreme, self-harm. So what's important is, again, the natural ways of raising endorphins wherever you are. And the natural ways of raising endorphins are any form of physical activity or exercise. Basta galaw-galaw and to help in the blood circulation, to increase circulation of blood to our brain, which can also help in our cognitive processes. So any form of physical activity is good. Get enough rest, again, because when we are when we lack sleep and when we lack rest, it can affect our mood and can also affect our other physical health and symptoms. And aside from that is, kung kaya, eat well, include fruits and vegetables in the diet. Fruits now which are rich in serotonin. Oh, I'm mentioning another neurotransmitter now which can also make us feel good. These serotonin are present in vegetables and fruits. Specifically, bananas are good. Kung may access to bananas, avocados are also good, and fish, rich in omega-3, which can also help in our mood, for our mood.
Doc, thank you so much for answering all of the questions. So, Doc, if there are some questions that we didn't get today, pwede po ba nila kayong i-message on your Facebook page, the Healthy Mind Clinic?
Yes.
All right.
Healthy Mind Clinic or
What?
the Facebook page, my Facebook page.
Okay, everyone. The doc is open to answer your questions. Okay, you can send her message on her Facebook page, Healthy Mind Clinic.
Yes, Healthy Mind Clinic. Kaya it's very madali lang to remember because it's very positive, diba? Again,
Yes,
positive thoughts can lead to positive emotions and positive actions. Healthy Mind Clinic.
Okay. Doc, okay. So is there anything that you wanted to add up before we end this webinar?
Just final words.
Yes, your final words to our participants.
Yeah. Again, what we are going through now, whatever our feelings currently, it's okay. It's okay to feel afraid, to feel stressed, to feel anxious, to feel lonely, to feel sad. All of these reactions or emotions now are all normal during this abnormal situation. In fact, it's the situation that is abnormal, but our reactions, our feelings are normal, and this is an opportunity for growth. I'm sure that this is temporary, and these too shall pass, and we will get out. We will come out from this challenging situation as stronger and better individuals.
Okay. Doc, thank you so much. There are a lot of comments here in the chat box saying how grateful are they to you, to the Quezon City, also to the Quezon City Public Library for initiating this kind of webinar. So very timely po talaga, Doc.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Doc. All right.
Maraming salamat po. At thank you, Quezon City Public Library for inviting me. Talagang ako naman, I think within 1 minute, I said yes kagad to this activity, which is really a part of my advocacy for mental health.
Yes, Doc. I can really feel, you know, your sincerity, your heart to this, your heart to this field, that you are really open to help people, especially making us aware of mental health, especially nowadays. Okay, now let's proceed to the presentation of the certificate, Doc. Doc, we have something for you
wow.
also.
Certificate. Ay, wow.
Yes,
Virtual.
yes, Doc. We call it e-certificate since we
Ay,
cannot go out and we
salamat.
cannot give it to you. All right, there you go. So, so can you see it now?
Yes.
Can you see it now, Doc?
Ang
Okay.
ganda.
Ang
Grabe.
ganda.
May flowers. There are roses.
All right. So let's read what's inside the certificate. Okay, for a moment. Grabe, Doc. You know, Doc, alam mo, ang dami ko rin pong itatanong talaga eh. Pero you covered it everything, almost what to do, what are the expectations of
Thank you.
this. And then you really, you know po, nasabi niyo po lahat, I mean, na-satisfy niyo po yung yung expectation ng mga audience natin.
Maraming salamat talaga.
So, Doc, I will just read the certificate.
Yes.
So, Quezon City Public Library, Reader Services Division, in partnership with Regalo Touching Lives, hereby awards the Certificate of Recognition to Dr. Joan May Perez Refarial for sharing her knowledge and expertise as resource speaker of the webinar entitled Libraries and Mental Health, How to Cope Up with Stress, Anxiety, and Depression During COVID-19 Pandemic, held on July 31, 2020. All right.
Maraming
Selfie
salamat.
muna.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very
Selfie
much.
muna, Doc.
Thank you, Doc. All right.
Oh, yan naman.
I hope they can email your e-certificate as well
Of
for
course.
you to
Oo.
remember us that this
Ah,
a part
oo
of your
naman.
life.
This is a very memorable kasi it's my first time and I really hope na I'd be able to visit the QC library soon when things are better.
All right. Thank you so much,
Miss
Doc.
Faith, selfie
Yeah.
muna tayo, no?
Ay!
With everyone, pati yung sa user.
No.
Tayo lang. Sayang, no? Kasi
Alright.
there are also audiences sa
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yes.
Okay
Opo.
po. Bye. Okay po, Doc.
Doc, thank you so much.
Maraming
Okay.
salamat po. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Doc.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right.
YouTube listeners, thank you very much. I'm not able to see you, but thank you po. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Doc. Okay, now, I would just like to promote, please like again, Doc Refarial Facebook page, which is Healthy Mind Clinic. Okay, and also you can like Quezon City Public Library for more webinars series like this. And for our closing remarks, let us hear it from Ms. Annalisa Martinez, the OIC of District Libraries Division of QCLP. All right. So while they are preparing, everyone, I just would like to remind you to like the Facebook page of Doc Refarial if I didn't get your questions. Okay, and
Okay,
also
okay, Faith.
library. Yes.
Okay, let's play.
Okay, again, for our closing remarks, let us hear it from Ms. Annalisa Martinez, the OIC of District Libraries Division of UCLP.
The participants who join us in this webinar conducted by the Quezon City Public Library Reader Services Division in partnership with Regalo Touching Lives Project Head, Mr. Carlos Eclavia Jr. Indeed, this webinar is very timely and truly helps a lot. We knew for a fact that many of us suffered stress, anxiety, and depression during this COVID-19 pandemic. We also knew that it's not easy to cope with this kind of situation. But with this kind of learning, we all have the options to overcome this situation. We also wanted to thank our resource speaker, Dr. Joan May Perez Refarial, for sharing her knowledge on the topic. This truly was a big help to all of us. Again, to all the participants, our webinar host, Ms. Dani Cris Faith Joses, the committees headed by Ms. Mary Ann Albernal of QCPL Reader Services Division, and Regalo Touching Lives. Thank you and God bless us all.
Thank you for your good words, Ms. Martinez. So, we all have the option to overcome this situation, and this too shall pass. Kaya natin to. Now, we hope you learned a lot, and we need to make some important announcements. Okay, I hope all the participants will listen carefully. So, to get an e-certificate, again, participants, you are required, at least you stayed here for 2 hours. And then there's the evaluation form. You can see there, and on your screen. Sorry, on your screen you can see the evaluation form. You have to fill it up. Okay, after this webinar, and then expect to receive your certificate in 3 to 7 days. Okay. So for more webinar series like this from Quezon City Public Library, please like their page, Quezon City Public Library. They have a lot of online activities, or a lot that we can learn from to them. Okay, since we are not yet allowed to go out in our home, but they are doing their best to prepare something for us, so we will be productive while we are at home. Okay, so on behalf of Quezon City Public Library, we would like to thank you for participating in today's webinar. We hope to see you again next time. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Please don't forget to answer the evaluation form.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.